Hello everyone, and welcome to English Teacher's Guide to the brand new EDEXCEL English GCSE Literature paper, and we're focusing on how to answer question A for the Shakespeare and post-1914 examination, which is paper 1. You should hopefully already have viewed my video which looks at how to plan this response. We're now focusing purely on the answer, so please obviously feel free to view that video before you view this one. Let's look at the structure of the exam first of all. So paper 1 is 50% of your GCSE. There's a second paper which is obviously worth the other 50% as there is no longer any controlled assessment or any coursework. The exam paper is 1 hour and 45 minutes in length. There's two sections. The first section is looking at Shakespeare. So you have two questions here. One is based on the extract, and again we're looking at the answering of this question today in this video. And the other question is purely based as an essay on the whole text. Section B is based on your post-1914 literature text that you've studied, and that is one essay question. So here's a task for you to see if you understand the new specification and that you've been revising. What does the mark scheme say you need to include to achieve perfect marks? And what method should you use to answer your question in order to achieve 20 out of 20, which is also perfect marks? Feel free to pause this, note down what you believe your answers are, and then press play to resume. Okay, so here's the mark scheme once again. We've gone through this in a bit more detail in our planning video, but essentially make sure that your ideas, your points are intelligent, that they are mature in the way in which you come across rather than simple. Make sure you're using integrated quotes or one-word quotations. Make sure that your analysis of form, structure and language is intellectual and obviously intelligent. Then finally make sure you understand the context. So why is this extract important in the whole play? Or socio-historically, what context can you suggest? But I wouldn't dwell on that too much. Here's the method for planning, which again we've looked at in more detail in the previous video. So obviously please feel free to view that one to see how we go through this in more detail. But here's how to answer. So the answering section is worth around about 20 minutes of your time in the exam. There's no need for an introduction, although you may wish to evaluate the writer's reasons for presenting the focus of the question the way they have. So you might create an introduction which says, well, why did Shakespeare want to create this character, this theme in this way? What's the point? What's the effect? What does he want us to think? Then we're creating 3 PE paragraphs which include the following. Your point, which answers the question. Your evidence, which could be form, structure or language, which proves you're correct. Then we briefly explain how your quote or your evidence proves your point. But to achieve perfect marks, you also need to be doing the following. Explore the importance of individual words. If you're focusing on language, you might also be looking at individual words being supported, highlighted within syllabic structure. You might analyse the way other structural aspects support your point. Use alternative views. So this means this, it could also suggest that. And then obviously analyse the way in which form proves you are correct. Now you need to remember you don't need to use all 3, form, structure and language, in every single point, but by the end of your answer you should have used all 3 overall. You must remember to use terminology, and obviously please read through your work carefully and correct any errors. So here's a question. Explore how Shakespeare presents the character Macbeth as being uncertain in this extract. We have obviously looked at the planning method. You've seen how to plan this response in the previous video, so let's look at the answer now. One way Shakespeare creates uncertainty within the character Macbeth is through his description of the king. So there's our point. Macbeth describes the great virtues of the king, which he believes will plead like angels. Integrated quotations, using only what I need, saves me time, I look intelligent, it's win-win. This creates uncertainty within the character as it demonstrates how popular and how good the king has been in his office. Basic explanation. Terminology coming up. Simple terminology is absolutely fine. Using the adjective great not only suggests how impressive the king has been in his office, but it also highlights the importance of the job, which, linked to the character's view that Duncan has performed his role in a clear manner, highlights how impressive a king Duncan has been. This is also supported by the simile like angels, as it suggests not only that God supports the work of the king, making a murder seem like an act against God, but also highlights that the work of Duncan has only been good. Furthermore, second point, Macbeth has been presented as uncertain through his feelings of guilt. By employing the use of the soliloquy, which is the character's thoughts out loud, the audience are able to listen to the list of negatives Macbeth associates with a potential regicide, so killing of the king, have judgment and plague the inventor. Both quotes suggest that Macbeth realises his actions will have a negative consequence, as judgment is a religious concept suggesting the character feels that upon his death he will be sent to hell. So how much more uncertainty do you need? Additionally, the guilt Macbeth will feel will plague him, suggesting that like a deadly disease, the murder will infect Macbeth, causing him to wither and die, as well as potentially affect others around him and cause them to suffer. And again, later in the play, he talks about his mind being full of scorpions. I could have used that, but I chose not to in this instance. It also helps to highlight the seriousness of the potential murder. Moreover, the long list of reasons, so looking at structure here, against the murder adds to the potential guilt, as it helps to reinforce the positive work of the king and the negatives that he associates with killing the king. Finally, Shakespeare creates uncertainty for the character by highlighting the rewards the king has lavished upon Macbeth. The character tells his wife of the honour the king has given him, which has led to golden opinions of the character. The syllabic structure, so the structure of the use of syllables, the order the syllables have been put in, helps to stress both honoured and golden, which obviously emphasises the importance of these two things to the character to the audience. Honour suggests not only that the king has promoted Macbeth, but that he has also given the character a great sense of pride and prestige. Furthermore, the adjective golden supports the idea that the view of Macbeth created by the king is valuable as a commodity. Now, that's how to answer it perfectly. That took me to write this with my class around, again, about 20 minutes, pretty much on the button. So timing is everything, and you can only get timing right if you practice. So thank you for watching. I hope it's been really useful. Obviously, feel free to view the other videos which look at how to answer the rest of these exams, and good luck. Well done.